What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and boy, do I have quite the show for you tonight. Let's get it rocking and rolling. Appreciate each and every one of you taking the time. Hope you tuned in last night, got to see me sit down with Lord Brunson. That was quite a great time. Got to talk about this all season, and I told you guys I was going to break this damn thing down into pieces, and well, that's what I'm here to do tonight. So thank you for taking the time. Appreciate all of your comments, hitting that like button, subscribing, whatever you're doing. You're watching this later. I'd love to hear your comments on this, but we're going to take a look at all the moves the Eagles have made so far in free agency, who they've lost, added, who's remaining, the Eagles cap space, the future draft picks, the new offensive and defensive coordinators, position by position outlook, and then the depth chart with all of these players we have now. So you can see exactly what this team looks like. Getting, ready for this draft, seeing where the Eagles have needs, but, where they have money, where they have, ammo for a certain someone like a, Howie Roseman to wheel and deal. So, look, we're going to talk about all of it. I appreciate each and every one of you, but let's get things rocking and rolling here. Week one of free agency, it was a very intriguing one. The Eagles definitely lost a good amount of players, but we talked about losing most of those players, right? So nothing too surprising there, but I think looking at this, as a whole, think we're doing pretty well right now. We've got money, we've got, a lot of holes we know that we have to fill, but we got the draft coming up. So we're going to talk about all of these things, but we're going to take a look at free agency here first. My man Anthony in the building, my man Samuel and Daniel. Let's go. Appreciate each and every one of you taking the time. And now Tyrese, we've got a party in the house. Let's go. And it has been quite an exciting offseason. So I'm going to break this thing down for you as quick as I can. We're going to look at everything in case you missed anything, and you're going to get every piece of information that you need. But let's start it off. We've got a few guys that are still out there, so I don't think there's too much that's going to happen. So that's why I want to break this thing down. We got a good idea of what we're going to walk into the draft with. But we talked about Tyree Jackson probably coming back, an exclusive rights free agent. That tender is very small, so you're going to have him sign that, have him compete. If he doesn't do well, then he doesn't make the roster. So not a big deal. On the defensive side of the ball, those guys probably won't re-sign until halfway through the year again, other than Robert Quinn. Maybe he comes back with the familiarity of Sean Desai, but for me, he doesn't have to. So we'll talk about the roster here in a little bit. But, those free agents, I don't think the Eagles really need to stress bringing those guys back. But you see, we did lose a healthy amount of guys. And we talked about this, Dillard, Minshew, Pascal, Sanders, and Sayamalu on offense. And you lose Sanders and Sayamalu as starters. And look, we talked about this. We could lose those guys, and we're going to replace them. It's going to be all right. We already did in one place there. And then you talk about on defense, you lose out on both your linebackers, your safeties, and then, all-pro Javon Hargrave. And dude was a stud, but we knew he was going to demand big money. We weren't going to be able to pay. We got to pay Jalen Hurts. So a lot of things that, you have to keep in mind here. But for me, we're doing all right because the people that we did add and retain, you bring back Kelsey, you bring back Scott and Toth on offense, and then you add Mariota and Penny. I like those additions. And then on defense, you bring back Bradbury, Cox, and Graham. And then you add Evans, Morrow, and Greedy Williams. And I think all of those additions, great depth pieces, even some of them, and starters. And look, I think that all of those moves needed to be made, right? So there's some people, this guy's not good enough to do this. Look, we're going to go into the draft. If we have depth pieces in place, you don't have to feel like you have to go somewhere. You have to take this. And it's not like they won't go best player available anyway. But I think for me, they're doing good in free agency where they can go into the draft and be excited. And look, we can still make moves here. There are still guys available. Go check out the best available. I'll be doing another one in a few days when some more moves are made. We'll clear up who's still out there, and we'll talk about who we can add. But let's jump into what cap space we know of right now. Some numbers still to be had, but I know you guys love that stuff, so I'm going to show you here quick. Look, I'm hoping it's Bobby Wagner, but we'll see what the Eagles do here. Yo, my man Scoop Doo in the building. Appreciate you, Luffy, tuning in tonight. Let's go. It's about to be an exciting one. So we talked about free agency. Now we're going to see. We got some of the cap hits for some of these guys, like Darius Slay, who restructured, extended, whatever. So you have now only 11.873 mil of a cap hit. Now, yeah, that's still high, but let's be real here. It was like 26 mil. So we knew that move was going to happen. And we thought it could be 13 mil, a little under that. So beautiful to see that. Kelsey is 10.7. Graham, a little over 10 mil. Cox, only 5.7 mil. Bradbury, only a little over 3 mil there. Rashad Penny, only 1.23 million against the cap. And then Boston Scott, 1.2 mil against the cap. And you see, we're still waiting for Justin Evans, Mariota Morrow, and Williams there. So once we get those cap hits in, they'll all be very small, around a mil probably for each of them when it comes to cap hits, maybe a couple mil for some of those guys. So maybe around like 6-7 mil you need for them. And we talked about the Eagles, one of the things, the options with AJ Brown, we talked about, with Hassan Reddick, there's ways that he is going to, obviously Lane Johnson's the one we're waiting for, but we will open up more money, and you have to have money for draft picks. All of these things we've talked about, clearing up space with letting go of certain players. So we'll see what Howie Roseman wants to do, but we've got money. You saw that it was 13 million there was the number. So that's what it is right now, but almost 14 million there. But I think that clearly that move is going to fluctuate throughout each day that you look at it. So we'll see what the number looks like here in a few days, but we've got money. We've got ways to move things around. So fear not. But another thing that people seem to forget, the Eagles haters is, well, we've got the draft coming up. And one thing Howie was able to do is load up for the Eagles in this upcoming draft. So not only this draft, which we know the picks now, oh, hell yeah, but look at the future here. So you're looking at this year, we've got 6 picks, 2 first-rounders, a second, a third, and 2 sevenths. Now, we've talked about this. I do believe Howie will be wheeling and dealing, looking to move some of those picks, and you can trade with the next couple years in front of you. So you have that much ammo. You've got 12 picks in the next year and then 8 after that, but a few of those, 4 next year, are comp picks, and that is the projected comp picks, that 3rd, 5th, and a 5th, and then another 6 down there. So, wow, a lot of comp picks. We'll see what we do throughout free agency here, but that's where it is right now. But other than that, you've got an additional 2nd from New Orleans next year. You've got an additional 5th. It could be a 4th, but I highly doubt Rager's ever going to meet the expectations to make it a 4th. So probably just going to be a 5th. And then that 6th rounder from Tennessee, that could either be their pick or our pick, whichever one would be better, which it'll probably be their pick. And then you see we have an additional pick in 2025 from the Saints. So, man, we've got extra picks from the Saints in this year, the next year, and the next. So thank you. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. And obviously the Reagor trade and AJ Brown. So we acquired some picks throughout these years. So do not think that Howie won't be looking to maybe trade back from number 10, maybe even trade up from 10, trade back from 30. We talked about not paying these first round picks. Doubt he wants to pay 2 of them. So maybe you trade from 30 to 32 to 34. And I say 32 because there's only 31 picks in this first round this year. So look, there's no 5th-year option. It's a completely different ball game when they're second rounders. So hey, maybe that's something we do, but we have a lot of ammo to do it there. So you see, man, look, that's 26 picks in the next 3 years. And you've got 4 of those picks in the top 94 in this year's draft. Yeah, it's time to build this thing, and it's building around Jalen Hurts. You have the money to extend him. Everything's going to be fine. And it's so funny to see people try to explain the cap and things, and it's like, look, man, simmer down. The Dan Zillies of the world just want to get angry. But let's talk about, this team now. We see that we're going to be adding to it. We know we've got the ammo to do it. Clearly, the draft's still coming up. There's a lot of free agents. As I said, you can check out those videos with who's remaining. But let's talk about, what we have here. Nick Sirianni, 2 new coordinators here, loses both of them after making it to the Super Bowl. No surprise there. But on the offensive side of the ball, Brian Johnson, who we all thought would get, elevated to that position. And I'm happy that he did get promoted to offensive coordinator. And you see Alex Tanney, a couple other guys got, promoted, but didn't really change much else. And you brought on Marcus Brady as a senior offensive assistant, but he was here at the end of the year anyway. And look, we talk about going to be almost the same offense, but I think Brian Johnson's going to add his own flavor, and I'm really excited to see what he's got, and don't think much really changes there, and that is a really, really great thing. So excited. You've got Singleton in there, Stoutland, obviously the best offensive line coach in the game and our run game coordinator. I'm really excited for this staff, and they keep homegrown talent, just keep growing, and I love to see that. Then on the defensive side of the ball, Sean Desai. We talked about this. If Denard Wilson wasn't going to get to the job, you got to give it to Sean Desai here, and he got the job. Now, the other guys that were on the staff when it comes to Tracy Rocker, Jeremiah Washburn, and DK McDonald, as well as Tyler Scudder, they haven't been let go, so I assume that they still have the same positions. It says on the website they still do. But you added DJ Elliott here, Taver Johnson, and Ronell Williams. There's videos on all those guys if you want to go check them out on my YouTube page. But you see, this is the staff he is building. Now, secondary coach is what I have for Taver Johnson because they haven't given the title yet. So maybe he's the safeties coach. They moved DK McDonald to the corners, and then nickel corner coach is Ronell Williams. Or you flip it with Taver Johnson as the corners and DK as the safeties. I don't know, whatever way they want to do it, but looks like they're going to break it down and have, multiple coaches in there. And hey, I love it. Build this staff up. And this is a very smart man. And I know that he's going to build the staff that, is going to really help this team excel. Whether or not we have, all-stars everywhere, we've got our stud corners back, and that's huge for anybody. And clearly we need to upgrade the safety position and the linebackers, and the Eagles are well aware of that. And I'm sure in free agency, via trade, all kinds of things could happen. So we're going to be well aware that how we can wheel and deal and help Nick Sirianni and this staff help this team get right back to the Super Bowl. So we talk about this roster, what it looks like, and hear a lot of stuff about, oh my God, we lost everyone, this, that, the other thing. This team's not going to be good. Well, let's take a look at it. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, corners, safeties, and then the special teamers. And we'll look at it position by position, who's under contract, and then who left in free agency, where they went. And then at the end, I'll show you the depth chart, and I'll keep that updated as I always do every year, every week, so you guys can see what this team actually looks like. And you don't ever have to be one of those people that says, who, when they're talking about one of our players. So let's get this bad boy rolling here, position by position here. And how much cap? We're probably going to need around 8 to 10 million for our cap picks. And as I said, we're going to clear up a lot of space here, and everything will be fine and dandy. But good question there. But yeah. And that's why we're probably not going to want 2 first-round picks, because then it costs you more. So most of the time, it's only your top 3 picks that are affecting your salary cap anyway, because it's the top 51 contracts. And, well, there are salary cap hits of those contracts. And, most of those guys don't even have over $1 million cap hit, so they don't even affect it. But those top picks do. Now, we've got 4 in the top 94. So, again, you could see the Eagles try to wheel and deal, acquire some of those picks in the rounds that they do not have. And that's going to happen. So just be ready during the draft. I'll keep you up to date with all that. But let's get this thing rocking and rolling. We'll look at quarterback here first. Clearly, Jalen Hurts leading the way. These are all just in alphabetical order. At the end, you will see the depth charts here. But you've got Book and now Mariota in this room, with Mariota backing up Hurts. You lost Minshew, so you get an upgrade there. And we all know that Jalen Hurts is only going to improve. He's going to get his contract extension, hopefully for 532 years. Love this dude. We all are very excited to have him as our quarterback. Cannot believe how amazing this kid has been. It's been a pleasure to watch him grow and develop. So keep kicking ass. Can't wait to see what he does this year. But the running back room is definitely going to be a change with Miles Sanders gone. You bring in Rashad Penny from Seattle, obviously with his injury history. That's a bummer, but this dude is a beast. We talk about second in history of yards after contact. This guy is just a monster. You add him to a room with Trey Sermon trying to, have that role there. Kennedy Brooks as well. So now you've got Penny. He may push them out, but you've got Gainwell. Boston Scott is back. You brought him back. So really, I'm excited about what we have here. And I think that they will look in the draft, but I think it'll be more into the mid rounds. I'm not so sure it will be with one of those first round picks. It's just not a move the Eagles usually would make. But we'll talk about that more when we get into the draft stuff. But this is getting you prepared for that time because, oh, my God, it's coming. So wide receivers up next. And, look, you lose Zach Pascal. Not that big of a deal. But talk about Quez Watkins, regressing last year. You need, obviously, see some improvement for wide receiver 3 there. Maybe you go in the draft there. Wouldn't be against it. A lot of really talented wide receivers available in this draft. But got guys like Devin Allen, Tyree Cleveland, who was added at the end of the year to the practice squad. And you've got Covey here. You've got Greg Ward, Quez Watkins, Smith, and Brown obviously leading the way. So I'm excited about this wide receiver room. You've got one of the best duos. You can argue about the Dolphins and Bengals and whoever else, but I really think that, we know for the first time in NFL or Eagles history, obviously 2 1,000-yard receivers. Dude, and they were amazing. 1,200 for Devontae, almost 1,500 for AJ. I just think they're going to continue to get better with Hurts, and I'm excited about that. So probably add to that room as well as another, and I like Grant Calcaterra as that Y-type tight end, Jack Stoll as your H-back, and then Dallas Goedert doing your jack of all trades, Y-type or your tight end one. He's just the guy that can do it all. But I think you need a true tight end too that can come in, help you with some blocking. And we talked about some of the free agents out there, Hesse and random guys that can block. But I think that, you could definitely look in the draft. But I'm excited about Calcaterra and Keene and Stoll. And I think Tyree Jackson does come back because he is an exclusive rights guy. So it's a small contract that wouldn't cost you anything. So you might as well see what you got in him. Then on the offensive line, you lose Sayamalu and Dillard. And but you've got homegrown talent here you're trying to bring up. And you've got Driscoll. Obviously, I think he could step into guard if need be, if Jurgens can't do it. But you've got Mailata and Lane Johnson. Then a bunch of younger guys that were on the practice squad last year that were going to compete this summer. Probably, the Eagles are going to add to the offensive line in the draft. At center, you've got Jason Kelsey's replacement, Cam Jurgens. But thank God Jason Kelsey's back. Let's go. Cameron Tom here again this summer. Then Landon Dickerson, you've got obviously at left guard. But who's going to be the right guard? That is the question. So we'll see if you move Driscoll in or if Jurgens bulks up a little bit, wants to play a little bit of guard. But Opetta's there, Tyrese Robinson. We'll see what the hell's going on there. That's just a conversation for another day. But he is on there, but he's on the commissioner exempt list. So we'll see what's going on. But regardless, you've got some younger guys there. And the offense, it's going to continue to steamroll people and put up points. And I think it's going to be one of the best offenses in the league. So I ain't worried about it. I'm going to be real with you. Devin Allen looks solid. He did. And, like you say here, it's preseason. So you take it all with a grain of salt. Preseason guys going against other preseason guys. But he looked good enough to make it on the practice squad. So hopefully he continues to develop. I would like to see him continue to get work in. And he didn't get any. But I would like to see him get some work like he did 10 years ago. And he only got 8 returns in his whole life at college. So I would like to see them give him a shot there in the return game maybe. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I think that, he's got some talent there. Clearly an Olympic guy. He's got speed. He got some ups. But I think that he's got competition. So we'll talk about, Tyree Cleveland, those guys on the depth chart. I think for me, he's got talent. So he's got a shot. You never know. But let's jump into this defense here now. On the defensive line, you lose Javon Hargrave. That's a big blow. But these older guys were brought in when Jordan Davis got hurt. Robert Quinn was traded for to help out the pass rush after Derek Barnett got hurt. So those guys are back. You look at the edge rushers here. You got Barnett, Graham, Sweat, obviously leading the way. Backups are Jackson, Leo, and Robinson. And on the other side, you got Reddick, Patrick Johnson, Kyron Johnson backing him up. Then you've got interior guys in Cox, Davis, Noah Ellis, Tuipulotu, Williams, and Wilson. And we talked about, those younger guys like Milton Williams and even Marlon Tuipulotu, not just Jordan Davis, I think are all going to get extended roles. And Tuipulotu got hurt last year, and that was a big bummer because he was really talented. So excited to see these guys get some extended roles there. And I think, again, maybe you bring back Robert Quinn, but I think even Teron Jackson and Janarius Robinson, pushing for that 4th defensive end on one side is, maybe, you keep 4 of them. So we'll see, but not as important to me as I think some people are making it. But one position that is very important is the linebackers, ladies and gentlemen. And clearly we lost both the starters in TJ Edwards and Kaiser White. And from what I heard, they were the worst linebackers ever by the time we lost the Super Bowl. But now all of a sudden it's the biggest losses ever. The media is hilarious. But Nakobe Dean is the guy we drafted last year to take over. So we knew that was going to happen. One of those guys would be gone, but you lose both. You bring in Nicholas Morrow, a guy who can play all over the place. I imagine he could really fill in for a weak side linebacker, but that's what we thought about Nakobe Dean. So we'll see what the Eagles want to do there. But both of them, having this kind of defense, we talk about having 2, interior linebackers essentially that can play middle and weak. They both have the same kind of skill set. So I think that's part of what this defense is, but I think you're definitely going to add to it because it's not just Bradley, Ellis, and Taylor you're going into this season with. So whether it be the draft or maybe a Bobby Wagner, you add to this room. I think you have to. So we'll hope that the Eagles do that. And again, I think that the Eagles just don't put too much of an emphasis on that position. I was excited. We had, such a great room last year for once, but it is what it is. We'll hope that they improve it in the draft and in free agency. Let's go. But at cornerback, oh my God, did they invest here? And, we talk about Bradbury taking that deal, baby. With those dummy years, you prorate that money, and he only had that $3 million cap hit that you saw earlier. So, yeah, and then you extended Slay, like we talked about a couple months ago. That cleared up 13 million cap space. So let's go, baby. You've got Slay, Bradbury, and Maddox back as the starters. And then you've got Goodrich, Job, Scott, and then Greedy Williams was brought in free agency. So we're good, man. We brought back our free agent, and adding Greedy Williams, I think, is a really nice depth piece there. So excited about those moves. I am for sure. Having corners in today's game, I think obviously very important. And I think Desai definitely going to use these guys correctly. Excited to see his defense. We'll be breaking that thing down more throughout this all season, but that's going to be exciting too. So see that. We'll finish off the secondary with clearly the most important position. And Howie Roseman tried to get back CJ. He obviously missed the mark. His agency about what his market was, wanted more money than what they offered. So they went out, brought Bradbury back, got the deal done with Slade to make sure they kept him because you didn't know if you were going to lose CJ. Well, came back with an offer. He didn't want it. Took a 1-year prove-it deal with the Detroit Lions. And look, it's his life. It's weird to see him going nuts on social media, but hey, best of luck to him. Now we move, and you lose both starters here too. So Epps and Johnson gone, but you've got Kayvon Wallace and Reed Blankenship who stepped it up last year. Andre Sacheret, I really like his game. We've talked about him multiple times, how talented he is, being able to help at nickel, at safety, a special teams ace. I needed to take a drink of water. Sorry. But Marquise Blair here, I think he's an intriguing addition. And then Tristan McCollum, he is a freak athlete. His size, man, really makes it an intriguing piece. So we'll see what these guys can do in the offseason. But clearly, quite the drop off from Epps and Gardner-Johnson. So another one in free agency and another one in the draft that you're going to look for. So we're going to hope that they do that. And then we'll keep the train moving with special teams. Jake Elliott, Sippos, and Lovato. Brett Kern probably not coming back. I imagine, Sippos is still the punter here, but maybe you want to bring in some competition for him. I don't know. I highly doubt it, but hey, we'll see. And then you see here the return guys. You bring in a guy like Tyree Cleveland at the end of the year. We talked about him when we brought him in. He can help you in the return game. Maybe he pushes some of these guys. But I doubt you use Devontae only positions you need him in. But Covey, I like him as a punt returner. I think if they start blocking better, he'll do all right. But you don't really have a kick returner. Talked about Penny's done it a few times in his career, but I think you want him more for a running back. You could try it in times of like important situations. Same with Gainwell. But I think you got to look to the draft to be adding someone to help you in that return game. But you brought back Boston Scott who can help you there. So at least you ensure you got a guy that is serviceable, right? But be nice to have a game changer back there. Just throwing it out there, but we'll see. We'll see if they decide to do that. Now, to finish it off, we're going to take a look at all of that information I just showed you there. We're going to look at the depth chart, what it looks like right now, and you'll get a feel for what this roster looks like and where we really need to add guys if you didn't with all that stuff you just saw, but now you'll see it all crammed together. Veteran safety, better backer, Dean Morrow, our capable starters. Yeah, and look, we talked about it. These guys are starter worthy, but you're going to add guys in this draft. That's the great thing. We talked about all those picks we have, and that's the exciting part about this offseason. We've got a lot. So just want to give the little primer here to get people excited because we've got a lot of ammo to make things happen, whether that be trades during the draft like we did last year, trades after the draft, just a wild draft overall, signing free agents. We're going to be doing it all. So appreciate you, my man, Randy. Hope you're doing well. And I hope you guys are all enjoying the breakdown. About to finish it off here with this depth chart, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, whether you're watching live. If you are watching this later, love to hear your thoughts. I'm always down to talk some damn birds with you, but been a wild off season. So hopefully this was able to help with everything that's going down and what we have going on. But Marquette King, yeah. But I think, we're going to be fine. And I think going to be another contender, but let's take a look again. this offense, the only major change you're seeing is right guard. And I plugged in Jack Driscoll because, look, Cam Jurgens, I know he's going to try to beef up, try to get that right guard job, and I hope he does. Driscoll provides you depth at guard, tackle, all over the place. I love it. So he's a depth piece for you, but I think we could definitely be looking at someone like Skoronski or somebody in the draft in the first round. You know that the Eagles are always looking to improve that line. So maybe you add a guy like him, have him at right guard, and then after Lane retires, he's your right tackle. I don't know. We'll see what the Eagles do there, but you've got guys, younger guys over here in this past offseason that are going to be competing for those backup roles, but starters are the same. Anyone in green has been added to this roster that was not part of the roster or practice squad last year. So we'll keep this updated. You'll see all the new players as we get them. But receiver, obviously people want an upgrade from Quez Watkins. And the guys you got behind him, you got Covey, Ward, Allen, all slot guys. And Tyree Cleveland's your only guy that's like a 6'2" outside kind of receiver who can get things done in the slot. So yeah, maybe add some talent to wide receiver. I think they probably do that. We talked about tight end. So a lot of things to look at in this draft, but I feel comfortable at quarterback with Mariota there backing up Jalen Hurts. Now, on to the defense here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is mapped out like the defense of last year, but you're going to see Desai running all kinds of multiple schemes and things, but you're going to have outside linebackers for obviously when you're in odd fronts, you're going to have defensive end, all that stuff. So you see them listed here, your DNs, your edge rushers there, Sweat, Graham, Barnett back, Janarius Robinson, Teron Jackson, Matt Leo, all going to be vying for probably 3-4 of those jobs. You probably keep, I imagine 4 of them, maybe add another guy. But, having Barnett back, I know they like that. And as a, third piece, that's not too bad. Him not starting doesn't scare me. So, I know he gets a lot of penalties, but maybe he comes in and he provides you a great rotational piece, and we know how important that is. Now, at Sam linebacker, I feel pretty good on the other side with Reddick, and then Johnson and Johnson. I'm a fan of both of those guys, so I like his backups there. Looking forward to seeing this summer how they do. Then the interior guy, Cox, Jordan Davis. You're going to have Milton Williams probably, in my opinion, sooner rather than later, taking that starting job. Cox being a rotational piece with Marlon Tuipulotu. Noah Ellis and Marvin Wilson going to be trying to get jobs this offseason. I'm sure you're going to add to that defensive line as well. Now, linebackers, again, you can plug in Dean and Morrow wherever you want, middle, weak side. Then you've got Bradley, Ellis, and Taylor. Again, I think you're going to upgrade there, and you need to. At corner, you've got Slay, Bradbury, Maddox, the best trio in the league. You lock that up for the next few years, and that makes me pretty damn excited. Then you've got Greedy Williams, McPherson, Scott, and Job. All really good depth that I think is going to be exciting who can win these jobs, because a lot of those guys can play, versatile defensive backs can play free safety, nickel corner, outside corner, some of them. So, yeah, it's going to be some good competition, exciting preseason, exciting those joint practice games they have. So I'm going to be looking forward to watching this depth. Now at safety. Clearly, you lose CJ Gardner-Johnson. You've got Blankenship and Wallace in here for now, but maybe Sasha or Scott or Justin Evans wins a job. Evans stays healthy. We'll see. But got Tristan McCollum in there, who was not part of this roster. He was the only guy that wasn't like a free agent, but he was signed to a reserve future contract at the end of last year. But he was not part of the roster or practice squad. So we're putting him in green, along with their Morrow, Williams, Evans, and McCollum. So those were the newest pieces. But Blair and everybody else that's in white there was part of this roster at some point last year. So going to be exciting. And then, of course, the special teams talked about bringing in competition there. But in the return game, having Covey and Scott as your returners, I'm okay with Covey. Like to see his development. Scott, you need to get an upgrade there. But got guys like Smith, Cleveland, Gainwell, Ward, Watkins, and again, maybe you want to use Penny. I don't know. But you've got some options, but I would be looking to improve there. That's just me. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I've got for you. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, what you got from that information, whatever it's on the cap space, draft picks. You got any question on that stuff, I would love to hear it. But if you got anything from this, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. You can always subscribe to the channel, join us live. Appreciate all of you new members. Really can't thank you enough signing up for those memberships. Looking forward to Fan Friday, taking all of your questions from the mailbag. Going to be an exciting one. And look, hopefully you guys checked out that interview with Lord Brunson last night. That was a great time getting to know him. check that out. Let me know what you think about that. But if anything crazy happens, I'll be back. But if not, until next time, I'm Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. Have yourselves a great night. Stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!